Hey guys, what's going on? This is Eags. Welcome to my A23 Shaco runes and build guide. Lots of jesters have been asking me, about the new Dark Harvest, or whether the build has changed. Eags, help me. Help me out. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the current setups for Shaco. Now, my favourite setup, and at this moment in time, I think this is the best setup for Shaco. Again, this is just my opinion, is Dark Harvest and Sorcery, as you see here. With attack speed, adaptive force, and health in minor runes. Now, Dark Harvest is still the best rune for me. People have been talking about Electrocute being viable again, Fleet Footwork, and yes, they may be viable and work, but none are as impactful as Dark Harvest, I feel. If you like running other keystones, no worries, I'm not going to, change that, but Dark Harvest just works best for me, and that's what I like. Now, Shaco is still like a mid to late game champion, so it's important to try to synergize our runes with our power spikes. So we're often getting Dustblade, Triforce, Ghostblade, all of these kind of big items in the mid to late game, and that's when we hit hardest. So I love running Gathering Storm, which enhances our damage the longer the game goes, and I think the rune is pretty OP generally. Lots of champs run it, so why not abuse it? Adaptive, Absolute Focus, sorry, Adaptive Force is the other rune I'd run. I can't remember the last time I was below 70% HP trying to nuke an enemy carry. That makes sense, and that's the way I play Shaco. So I think it's ideal to run it, so it gives us a better chance of making that pick later in the game that might win us the game. It also helps us out a little bit early game too. So the minor runes are very interesting, guys, and I think it's a great addition, especially for Shaco, where he needs some power back in his early game, and it does. It helps us out early game. Now for this setup, and it depends on your secondary tree, of course, we're running Sorcery, so I think it's almost essential that we run attack speed. So this bad boy right here, having no attack speed before we have Greaves or Triforce. If you buy Greaves, then you might even want to mix it up again, but the build that I'm going to show you is with Mobies and Triforce. So before I get to Triforce, I need some attack speed in there, so that I can duel, so that I can actually, I don't know, even just clearing camps efficiently. It's important, and if you don't run it, if you ran this setup with, let's say, Adaptive Force, you have no attack speed in your build, in your setup, and you'd have to play very passive and give up stuff, like kind of objectives, like whether that be Scuttle Crab or even camps if you see the other jungler coming. You'd have to be very, very careful with this setup. The second minor is a no-brainer, Adaptive Force. You don't want to run armor, you don't want to run MR. The last one, I like running more HP. I think in most games I would run the health, the extra health you get here. If you're against a full AD team, you might want to switch it up and run armor. Against maybe like an Eve and an AP mid, you might want to run MR. I just think health is just better. Like if you get hit by something with +5 armor, it's not going to save you. If you get hit by like an Ahri Charm into an Eve combo, you're going to die anyway, even if you have +6 magic resist. I just think health is better. Now the build that complements this rune page the best that I've found is Tiamat, Mobies, Dustblade, Triforce, Ghostblade, GA. Now you guys know that I'm a massive fan of Mobies, but the downside to Mobies is that we have no bonus attack speed until Triforce with this build. Okay, so Triforce is the only thing that's giving us attack speed. It's giving us 40%, no less. But until that point, we don't have any attack speed in our build, which is why we run the 9% in our minor runes. For me anyway, as I said, it's adequate enough to deal with the early mid game. If you prefer Greaves, then you might not want to run any attack speed. You just play passive as fuck until you get to that point. But you do get another 6 AD. So it's up to you guys. Bit of preference in there, mate. But if you are a Mobies user, this is, I think, the best setup. The other little change that you may have noticed to this build is choosing to buy Triforce before Ghostblade. It just feels better to me. Okay, the on-hit damage, the 20% cooldown, Chase describes it. I love how he described it. He described it as having like a more rounded kind of feel to the build, and I completely agree. Ghostblade after Dustblade just makes you too much of a glass cannon, and especially with this rune setup, I feel you don't need to go that route. I think it's safer and better to go Triforce before Ghostblade, unless you're in, like if you're 10-0, then yeah, go Ghostblade after Dustblade to finish the game off, because you hit harder. But in 80% of games, most games, when the game's kind of in the balance, Triforce, I think, after Dustblade is the better choice. So that's my favourite rune page and build pairing at the moment. May change over time, especially I heard that they're going to nerf Dark Harvest again, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, now I'm going to show you guys some tweaks that you may want to make to this setup. And most, if not all of these, come down to preference. Now, I think Celerity is a really useful rune, so if you guys want to run Celerity in here with Storm, I think that honestly could be as good as running Focus. I just prefer Focus because, yeah, you do more damage. Celerity doesn't give you any damage anymore. Any Adaptive Force is just all movement speed. But the extra movement speed it gives you, and it can be up to almost 30 if you have Mobies and Ghostblade activated, is just pretty red hot, and it makes it even easier to stalk your prey. Just to get around the map quicker is a viable reason in my opinion. Water walking as well, you might want to run, but I don't think the rune is that good, and I think it's better if you use Fleet Footwork like Gathering Storm. I think it's just so much better than it. Nimbus Cloak is an option as well. I know Chase popularized this, but I've never seen the use of it. All I want to do is stack damage and maximizing that. But yeah, I wouldn't run that. So this is my favorite setup. If you want to run Celerity though, I think that's a really, really good choice as well. I think those two are the best setups, Celerity or Focus in there for this page. Now the second rune page I'm going to show you guys is this one right here, is titled Glass Cannon. And this is the bad boy of rune pages, mate. So exactly the same domination tree, but this time using precision as our secondary tree. Because we have Alacrity in here, we don't need the attack speed minor rune. Okay, we just don't need it. Even though Alacrity gives us less early game, like it only gives us 3% at the start of the game, it does give us more later in the game, so we don't actually have to build Greaves or Triforce for attack speed. We don't need to invest any gold into it. All we have to do is invest gold into damage. Another positive of this setup is we can run a bonus 12 AD in our minor runes, so both adaptive forces, 10 adaptive force is the same as 6 AD, so we get 12 AD there. Coup de Grace synergizes really well with the new Dark Harvest, obviously doing more damage the lower the target is. Yeah, it just complements Dark Harvest really nicely, and it's probably the only viable rune left in this tree. So yeah, Coup de Grace and Alacrity are no-brainers, to be honest, if you're running precision. And to complement this rune page, I think a Glass Cannon build would be most appropriate. We don't need to invest gold, as I said before, into items for attack speed. We attain up to 18% from Alacrity, so we can just focus on building damage and nuking carries, and in my opinion, that's what Shaco is meant to do at the moment. So team up Mobies, Dustblade, Ghostblade, GA, and then depending on their team, if they've got healing, you go Mortal Reminder. If they don't, then you go LDR. This has been my go-to build for the last couple of seasons and is, in my opinion, the most exciting. Screw up, you die, you might throw the game. Play it perfectly, you drop 20 plus kills and hard carry. That's kind of the trade-off there. Now, you don't have Triforce, so you're squishier, but you will hit harder with Dustblade and Ghostblade. Which is why, if you're really fed, in this situation with this setup, you go Ghostblade before Triforce. If you're really fed, sorry. You go Dustblade, Ghostblade. But most of the time, you want to go Triforce, as I said. Just to reiterate that fact, mate. Now, these two setups are my favourite, so what I've just showed you guys so far, okay? There are other builds you can run Fleet Footwork, but I don't think it's really that great. Even though I ran it in like late Season 8 and won most of my games in Challenger, like, I don't think the setup is as good as these, the Dark Harvest setups. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up. Any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. If you want to catch me live, please follow me on Twitch. We've been getting like 100 plus viewers a stream recently, and it's been sick. So yeah, come tune in. Link will be in the description. And yeah, that's about it, fam. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, peace.